Assalamu alaikum students. I'm Muhammad Farooq and teaching at Peshawar Model School, No.1 campus. Students, this is the first lecture regarding to the summer vacation task for the month of April, summer vacation task for the month of April 2020. Summer vacation task April 2020 for class 8 Pakistan studies. Students, let me to explain that the summer vacation task for the month of April 2020 will keep the weightage of 100 marks and 50 marks will be included in the final result of the midterm exam. So it means that this is a very important assignment for you, and you have to take keen interest in order to get maximum marks. Okay students, I'm going to explain some events. You have to watch the video, understand the information, and you have to write few sentences about each and every event. The first event is related to the War of Independence 1857. War of Independence. Students, we have to touch three areas: background, events, and conclusion. So background is related to that the East India Company, which was a trader company, it was founded in East India, in the subcontinent, just to enhance the trade between the Great Britain and the subcontinent. And the Mughal rulers, they provided permission to the East India Company to start their activities in the subcontinent. So first of all, they were in the form of traders, but later on they converted into warriors and they started to capture the areas in the subcontinent. So it was the background. Now the events is related to we will move towards 1857. In 1857, most of the areas were captured by the East India Company soldiers, and in 1857 the Indian soldiers which were deployed at Meerut cantonment, they started a rebellion movement against the East India Company or their English officers, and from that area the War of Independence took place. So the main purpose of the War of Independence was to pull out or to expel the English soldiers and the East India Company people from the subcontinent, and to lay down the foundation of the expanded national government comprised of Indians. Means the main purpose was to expel the foreign occupational forces from the subcontinent and to lay down the foundation of the nationalist government in India, or a government which would be comprised of Indians. So the Muslims and Hindus, they started collectively a war against the British forces or the East India Company forces, and this war was almost continued for about 5 months, and the conclusion was that this war did not take its objective. Means the War of Independence failed because of the so many reasons. Means the troops, the Muslims and Hindu troops, they were not fully trained. There was not central command and control system. The weapons were outdated and the communication system was not up to the mark. So many reasons were there for the failure of the War of Independence. But when the War of Independence failed, so the East India Company or the British forces, they started atrocities against the Indians, especially against the Muslims, because they considered that Muslims were the main elements to start mutiny against them. We say, or in the history we called it war of independence, whereas the Britishers or the British authorities, they painted it as the mutiny or uprising against the Great Britain. So we can say that the War of Independence was an important event in the Indian history. The second event is related to Hindi-Urdu controversy, 1867. Hindi-Urdu controversy. In 1867, the extremist Hindus, the narrow-minded Hindus, they started a movement in Banaras against the Urdu language. They considered that Urdu language is the language of the Muslims and its script writing style is based on Arabic language. So this language just is related to the Muslims, that is why this language must be replaced with Hindi. So for the purpose to replace Urdu with Hindi, they started a movement which is generally called Urdu Hindi or Hindi Urdu controversy. So it took place in 1867. Means the aim of this movement was to convert or replace the Urdu to Hindi. Means Urdu was an official language at that time at Banaras, so they wanted to replace Urdu with Hindi. Why? Because they considered that Urdu is the language of Muslims and Urdu represents Muslims. Its script is related to Arabic language and this language is responsible for the advancement or for the progress of the Muslims. That is why this language must be replaced with Hindi. So it was the main aim or main objective or main reason of this particular movement or this particular event. The third event is related to Shiratori Incident, 1922. Shiratori Incident. Students, Shiratori is the name of a small town situated in UP. So this Shiratori, in Shiratori, a police station was set ablaze, means set on fire, by a mob, by the protesters. Who were the protesters? The protesters were related to the All India Khilafat movement and the non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement was organized or was supervised by Mr. Gandhi, and All India Khilafat movement was basically organized by the Khilafat committee comprised of Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar, Maulana Shaukat Ali, Maulana Zafar Ali Khan, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, and so many Maulana Hasrat Mohani. So these were the main figures of the Khilafat movement. So in Shiratori in 1922, the police station was set ablaze by the protesters, and inside the police stations there were 22 policemen. They were set on fire and they burned alive inside the police station. It was a condemnable event. It was an unpleasant event, and it was not the aim of the Khilafat movement or the non-cooperation movement. Means such aggressive or such negative approach was not the aim of Khilafat movement or the non-cooperation movement. But unfortunately, this sad or tragic incident took place in 1922 in Shiratori, UP. So in history, this particular event also having a great importance. So simply we can say that Shiratori is a small town in UP, and a mob, the protesters related to Khilafat movement and the non-cooperation movement, they set ablaze the police station at Shiratori, and almost 22 policemen, mostly the Indians, they burned alive. So it was a sad incident, it was a tragic incident, it was an condemnable incident, and it was not the aim of Khilafat movement or the non-cooperation movement to set ablaze the police stations or to kill or target the government installations. Okay students, inshallah in the next video we will touch so many other events, and then you have to write few sentences about each and every event. Thank you students.